On this week's Motor Week, Richard Hammond has his first drive of the brand new Astra Convertible and he takes VW's Passat on a day out to Blackpool.
The MGB. Okay, it's a creaky classic for old geezers in hairy sports jackets with leather patches on their elbows and flat caps who pretend they can still remember what it was like to drive fast, when in fact the MGB is a wheezy old thing that any modern super mini can blow into the weeds, right? Well, no, actually, because this is an MGB built up by the MG Owners Club's workshops at their headquarters near Cambridge. They've simply gone through their huge MGOC spares catalogue and come up with the ultimate specification car. It's based on a brand new MGB shell fitted with a 4.6 litre Rover V8 engine, 5-speed Range Rover gearbox, new wishbone suspension at the front, new rear suspension, high ratio limited slip back axle, carbon fibre trim, leather seats, door panels and electric windows in an MGB. So this is an MGB with a difference, and one of the main differences is the price tag. Now you could get a very nicely restored standard MGB for around £6,000. This could stand you in at £30,000. Is it £24,000 better? Let's find out. There ain't no substitute for queues is something the Americans always used to say about their hot rods. And that's certainly something you can say about an MGB. They've built the 4.6 litre V8 to produce a leisurely 265 brake horsepower but a massive 300 pounds-feet of torque. And that means this MGB is supremely flexible, pulls hard from 1000 RPM in any gear. That exhaust note sounds great at first, but it does get wearing after a while and the banging on the overrun is intrusive. I'd go for a rather quieter and more unobtrusive system. Once clear of the town, the speed starts to build up on the open road, then actually the ride smooths out, and the faster you go, the more fun it is. The only phrase I can come up with is yee-haw! With its high gearing, it could in theory pull 150 miles an hour, but 30-year-old aerodynamics mean a practical top speed of around 135. And it'll do 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. David Sculthorpe, the man behind this, brilliant job. I mean, how long did it take you?
About 7 months in total, although it wasn't, day in, day out working on it. We had to take time off to develop bits and pieces for it, but strung end on end, 7 months.
And would it be practical for somebody to build this car?
Yes, we actually built it in a double garage, someone's home workshop, to prove that it could be done. And it proved very successful. No special tools needed, and it was built up on axle stands as you would do at home.
And just all the bits you've got on your shelves?
We have. Every single part that's on this car we've supplied ourselves, and all those parts are very readily available, so there's no waiting for parts or difficult components to actually build into it.
Just bolt it together. And
Almost.
somebody really will pay 30,000 quid for something like this?
People already are paying that kind of money to build their own cars. Whether their ultimate budget takes them up to £30,000 remains to be seen when the cars are finished, but certainly they're a long way on with some very high specification cars being built.
Well, if you fancy an even older classic that can still keep up with modern traffic conditions, just wait till you see this. It's an MGA. It dates back to the mid-50s, but this, again, is something special. It's been built and as another exercise to show what the workshops here at the MG Owners Club really can do. So, it's got a 2.2 litre MGB engine, 5-speed gearbox from a Ford Sierra, limited slip back axle, tuned suspension and big MGB brakes. And above all, it's great fun. The purists will argue about modifying cars like this, putting Sierra gearboxes in beautiful MGAs and tuning MGB engines for them and cutting down the windscreens and putting Range Rover engines in MGBs. The answer is that today's motoring conditions have changed fundamentally from the days these cars were originally built. And if you want to have fun on the crowded public roads of today, you've got to have reliability and you've got to have a car that's easier to drive than this was in the mid-50s. Magic. If you force the club to give you a price, they say that this MGA would cost around £25,000. But of course, you can buy an MGA for a lot less than that, and you can convert an MGB to V8 spec for a lot less than £30,000. But that's to miss the point of this car. It's aimed fair and square at the Porsche, Mercedes and TDR competition. And you set it in that context, it makes an awful lot of sense.
Now, to most of us, me included, the Renault Clio is a lovely little French shopping trolley. It's a perfect run-around accompaniment to his Beamer parked on the gravel drive. So when Richard Hammond was invited to the launch of the Renault Clio Sport V6 last year, to be honest, I didn't really care. I mean, the kit on this car looks a bit like it's from a Star Wars film. And believe it or not, there isn't even a back seat. The lovely little run-around engine has been replaced by some throbbing great V6. And as far as the exhaust pipes go, well, they look faintly ridiculous. No, to be honest, I wouldn't want to be seen dead driving around in a car like this. Okay, I admit it, I was absolutely gutted when old Tricky Dicky beat me to the launch. But whereas he got to drive the car for half an hour, I get to drive it all day. So watch and weep, Mr. Hammond. For those of you who think that this is just a Clio Sport with silicone implants, then you're sadly mistaken. For starters, this car is rear-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive. And the engine is mid-mounted, which means that you've got no space for your mates in the back. But with a car this good, it needs mates. So what does a mid-mounted engine in a car this size do? Well, for starters, it means that the handling is superb. The Renault 172 was good, but this takes it a stage further. Wheel response is instant, and you can go crazy speeds around those fast little corners without ending up in your neighbour's field. Performance figures on the V6 are as impressive as the ride. The engine pumps out a stomping 230 brake horsepower, with 0 to 60 coming up in 6.4 seconds and giving you a top speed of 150 miles an hour. Now, being an unbiased motoring programme, I guess we'd better find something about the car that we don't like. Well, being picky, I suppose the interior could be a little bit more high-tech for my liking. It's basically the same as a regular Clio, but with sports steering wheel and racing seats and pedals. But let's not forget, you're getting a limited edition V6 sports car for only 26 grand. So I guess we're going to have to draw the line somewhere. And that's about it for dislikes. Now I've got you all drooling over this car and licking the screen. Before you get too excited, let me just tell you that Renault are only planning to bring about 400 of these into the country this year, and there's already a waiting list for over 500. So it looks like for most of you that it's going to be quite a long time before you get to drive this car. Oh well. Never mind, eh?
To live life surrounded by beauty. In a beautiful house, in beautiful countryside, with beautiful cars and beautiful people all around you. Inspirational.
Mind you, you can always make up for an ugly face by taking your top off. No, not me, the car. Not that it actually is an ugly face, surprisingly. Thank you. My expectations were not high. I was never a big fan of the old Astra Cabriolet, and if I'm honest, I was expecting this one to be a bit of a pram. But it's not by a long way. It actually looks quite mature and classy. I think the design really works. In common with the Astra Coupe, the Cabriolet is going to be built in Turin, and in common with the Coupe, it was styled by Bertone. They'll be building it as well. That probably explains why it looks really pretty nifty. Now obviously, in the world of the Cabriolet, image is everything. That's why you buy one of these things. And the Astra does look very good. But this is more important when it comes to image. The key fob. Press the button, hold it down, and voila, open air. If you really want to impress your mates, that's the way to do it. What do you reckon, big fella? Huh? Yeah. It's not the fastest electric roof in the world, but it is going to be fitted as standard on all Astra Cabriolets. The interior is exactly the same as you find in the Coupe, and I was a bit confused because it looks completely different, and I think it's nothing more than having no roof means you've got to load more light in. In the Coupe it's a bit gloomy and a bit boring. Here it just looks sensible, classy, discreet and really very good. There are two engine choices, a 1.8 litre which we've got today and a 2.2 litre which is a bit more powerful, but really it's more to do with giving more torque. This does very well for a 1.8 in a car that, remember, is going to weigh more than the Coupe because of the extra strengthening to keep it rigid. Even Vauxhall wouldn't claim that there isn't any scuttle shake, but there's not too much. In a market where fun, frivolity and image is seen as everything, the Astra is actually surprisingly grown up and pleasantly sophisticated. With prices starting from, what, £17,500, it's certainly not ultra competitively priced, but then it doesn't have to be, because Vauxhall only expects to sell about 1,000 of these things a year in the UK. But what is surprising is what'll sell it, because when people are making that £17,000, £18,000, £19,000 purchase, the thing that clinched the deal, I reckon, this, a key fob that probably costs Vauxhall maybe 50p to make, but it'll clinch the deal every time. You watch. Anyway, looks like rain to me.
That's it for part one, but after the break, Richard has his jolly round Blackpool and with our regular behind the scenes look at F1.
I'm getting a picture now. I think I can see it. Yes, I can see it. Yours is going to be a miserable life, essentially pointless. You will always be broke. You will never be happy. This is the path that has been chosen. But hey, well, if you don't want to know, you shouldn't ask, you know? Yes, I think I can see your story now. You will be bought by a big company. You will be a company car. You will spend your life plowing up and down the motorways, covering many, many hundreds of thousands of miles, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. All right, love, don't overplay it, eh? But that really is the situation for the VW Passat V6 TDI. And that's why we've brought it here to Blackpool for a final day out of fun and frolics before it begins its life of miserable servitude. The thing is, it may not be an interesting life, but the Passat is extraordinarily good at it. They are the archetypal hack. For one thing, they never die. They just get so old, they fade from view. And just because they lead a fairly humdrum life doesn't mean they're shabby. Not by a long, long way. The Passat has a lot in common with the A6. So particularly inside, we get the same amazingly high standards of quality, fit and finish, great materials everywhere. And all over the place, despite the surroundings, an amazing aura of just quiet, sophisticated, calm and quality. No, I'm having a lovely day out with you. You're definitely the one for me. There's no other I'd rather be here with. Well, look, okay, it may not be the hottest babe on the promenade, but it's not that ugly. I mean, it's not a two-bagger, if you see what I mean. It is perhaps not as quietly stylish as the Audi A6, but it's not far off. There's something reassuringly sturdy about it, solid, made from one great lump of metal, that sort of thing. And this thing is no slouch. Discreetly, it scurries you along at quite a pace. 150 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in just 9.4 seconds. Not too bad. And best of all, huge chunks of torque. You don't need to change gear. If you really want to change gear, there is a very slick, very handy 6-speed box. Don't bother, stick it in third, it'll just rumble along all day. All this talk of quality and quietly stylish looks might have you thinking you're going to have to part with a lot of candy floss for the Passat. But you won't. The news is good. 21.5 grand for this version. Now you don't get much Audi or BMW for that. Now you're going to enjoy yourself. It'll be great. Motorways can be quite interesting. There's lorries and roadworks and, you know, reps can be good company. You'll have a hanger here with his suit on. You're, you know, up and down. Some of the slip roads have curves on. That's a bit more fun for you, but what do you tell it? It's not got much to look forward to, has it? Look, I just can't make this any more exciting. I mean, it's not a bit of, you know... Oh, sorry. But it is extremely competent and very sensibly priced, so it does leave you with time and money to get on with more exciting things. So me, well, I'm off to the pier. And you, well, I'm afraid it's about time you got down to work. Good luck. Whew.
Formula One teams work hard at the best of times, and even more so when it's time to build a new incarnation of their Formula One machine. We followed McLaren as they geared up to launch their 2001 campaign.
It will be in primer and rub down today, which means the whole day we'll work until 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight to get that done, and then tomorrow the colours will go on and it'll be airbrushed, and then the following day it will be polished, cleaned up, and then taken back to car build by around lunchtime.
The team of engineers have been busy designing the car and now have 2 weeks before the car is launched in Valencia. The team have to work on the car both night and day to ensure that it is in a state to be unveiled at Valencia. They then enlist the help of David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen.
I think the car looks fantastic. You know, it's obviously early days until you see the completed car, but in terms of the detail around the cockpit, the way they've hidden lots of parts underneath the footwell, a lot of very detailed engineering, and hopefully it'll see it being an improvement over last year's car.
Well, it's always basically quite fascinating and exciting to see the new car, how it's changed from last year, and to see the improvements what the team has done since last year. We have to check everything's fine, and so it's nice to sit in a new car, but you know, obviously because nothing has really fixed yet, it's quite a rough feeling.
The team's hard work pays off, and it is now down to the drivers.
Well, that was our 200th edition of Motor Week and the last of the old look show, as next week we've got a whole fresh look to the programme and some great new cars. We'll see you then.